Hello, everybody. This is Justin Case of America Newscape, rejoining our friend, coach, mentor, and transformational guy, Jeff Griffin of Griffin Motivation, back for another installment of American Awesome. Hello, Jeff. Welcome back to American Newscape.
Oh my goodness, it just seems like yesterday, but I'm telling you, this is fantastic because we are going to get some things done today.
We are, and we're actually building a fan base, Jeff, and they believe that we're a well-oiled machine, and this is just seamless for us. And if they only knew what really goes on behind the scenes.
I know, I'm telling you, it's like that duck sitting on top of the water, just seems calm and collected, no problem. Underneath that water, legs are just going crazy, things are going crazy. But let me tell you, things are going amazing right now. And as you mentioned, absolutely. Hopefully, we're creating some momentum, some fan base, and whatnot. But again, I just want to be able to shine a little bit of light on this part of the world.
Well, that's cool, Jeff. Now, that being said, where you been and what's been happening since I saw you last?
Well, what's where I've been and what's happening is perhaps maybe like everyone else who's listening or watching, you're like, I've just experienced a big time high where I went to, Estonia and it shared my message on the stage of Mind Valley. And I was on this big, huge high. People were showering me with praise and adoration and love. And I come home and my kids are like, oh, it's dad. And so now I have to deal with the low and slow, as I call it, the low and slow pace, energy, vibration, all that stuff, where it's just like, okay, now what? How do I pick up the pieces? I wouldn't even say pick up the pieces because it's not even shattered, but how do I pick up the pace? And how do I, really feel good about, where I'm at right now, and more importantly, where I'm going.
Well, Jeff, we all need to regroup from time to time and recharge our batteries, and that's what you're doing. I mean, you've been through a lot here recently, and you're getting ready to. You've got some pretty cool things on the horizon. So why don't you talk about them?
Well, absolutely. I have the opportunity to share a stage with Peyton Manning. If you don't know who Peyton Manning is, go check him out. One of the greatest. I wouldn't say one of the good quarterbacks. I'll say greatest. One of the greatest quarterbacks out there, arguably. But NFL has a couple MVPs, a couple Super Bowls, and a lot of commercials. And so you can look him up and whatnot. And so I'm going to be sharing the stage with him and sharing a few tidbits of information for an oil company that's going to meet there in Sun Valley, Idaho. And what's interesting, Justin, is so many people want the results. Like, hey, Griff, give me the results, give me the tools, give me the skills. And I'm like, I can give you the tools, I can give you the skills, but you're going to use them the same way you've used them in the past. So we can't expand our wallet, or we can't expand our environment around us unless we expand our mind and we look at things different, and not just look at things different, but we change that programming, reprogram that past program, or as Zig Ziglar might say, that stinking thinking. And so, but everyone wants the tools, everyone wants the results, and so I'm going to give them what they want, and then also provide some things that they need. And that's what I wanted to do with you and your audience today, was to give them what they want, or give them the tools that will help them go from point A to point B. Because how often have you known what to do, but you don't do what you know? And so there's that gap that needs to be closed and crossed.
Well, you're unique, Jeff, because you not only help us find what we need, search our own souls to find out what we need, and then you show us the path to get to where we need to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I don't know if you've ever experienced this before in the past, Justin, where you're like, you know what, I am going to, begin my New Year's resolutions. We're in July right now, halfway in the year. I don't know if yours was shot like most people's were shot like within the first few days of January. Like, I'm going to change my world. I'm going to like climb this mountain. I'm going to do all these things. I'm going to, get a new job or do all these things. And then you wake up the next day and you're like, maybe tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes and tomorrow comes and tomorrow comes and you never do it. And we get frustrated because we're like, why even do this? Why even start New Year's resolutions? Because they don't work. And we're in the middle of the year, and I'm going to share with you the key on the reason why they don't work. It's because, as I mentioned before, we have this big gap here where we know what to do, but we don't do what we know. And we figured out, because we've used the dream weaving technique that I've shared with you and your audience, that now you know what you want. Now you know where you want to go. Now you know what you want to see, do, and become. It's like, okay, how do I cross that divide? How do I get over that bridge? And so we've been given New Year's resolutions, or we've been given goals, and goals don't hold up. They don't hold up. And because when difficult times come, it's just like goals aren't going to get us there. What's going to hold up that bridge or hold up those goals is the arch, the 252 lifestyle that I want to share with you. And there's 5 building blocks that are essential, that holds up that arch, that holds up the bridge, that gets us across the divide. So who's in? Who wants to know how to cross the divide?
Well, I do.
I know I do.
Take me across.
Yes, absolutely. I will take you across, my friend. So here's what happens here. Rome wasn't built in a day. But what's interesting, if you go to Rome, you can see those arches that still exist. And the middle block that holds up the arch is called the keystone. And that keystone arch is what holds up, that keystone block is what holds up the arch. And so what we have here is we have 5 building blocks that are going to, sustain the 4 areas in our life that we all must, get aligned with. At least I believe. There's Peyton Manning, when I heard him speak the first time, I think his number is 16 or 19. My Lysdexia is coming into place, but he gave like 16 things to help with your life. I'm like, that's way too many. I've lost track after 2. But these 4 areas is, there's the physical aspect of your life, there's the mental aspect of your life, there is the spiritual aspect of your life, and there is the social aspect. And so those 4 areas, the 2 and the 2, are the bookends of this 252 lifestyle. So you got the 5 building blocks. And so you have these 5 building blocks that holds up the bridge. And then the first building block that I believe each and every one of us needs to begin with is we need to create a holy habit and righteous routine. We've got to create those habits that are so holy that they're not going to get in our way, and those routines that we look at them that they're so righteous that nothing is going to keep us from doing those. And so holy habits and righteous routines. One of the easiest tools I've learned and discovered and I've created, it's called the Daily Dime. And this Endless Possibility book is the tool to help you with that daily dime. The daily dime is 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night, and that helps you with your holy habits and righteous routines. What are you going to do to be prepared for that moment when you're tapped on the shoulder? And we can go into more depth of that later on, but so that's the first building block, is to create holy habits and righteous routines. The second building block is desire the fundamentals. And I have the FUN capitalized. I don't stop with the FU, but some people want to like, hey, listen, I don't want any more of this stuff. But FUN, you got to desire the fundamentals. And what are the fundamentals? It's reading, writing, and arithmetic. And I don't know why they call them the 3 R's, like in grade school, because reading is an R, but writing isn't an R unless you do it RIGHT. I was so confused with school, but anyways, reading, writing, and arithmetic is the fundamentals, and there's some certain things that we can jump into those as well to help establish that building block. And so you've got 2 building blocks, and then you've got the one on top, which I believe is the keystone of all 5, and that is to work smart, not hard. To work smarter, not harder. And that means to focus on the keystone habits in those 4 areas, those 4 areas of your life: the physical, mental, social, and spiritual aspects. If you focus on those keystone habits, then everything's going to fall into place, or everything's going to fall out of place. And we only have 24 hours in a day, and there's only so much we can do. And we want to simplify things, not complex things up. And so maybe my description of the building blocks is confusing some people, but it's really, really simple. You've got holy habits and righteous routines. You've got desire the fundamentals. You've got work smarter, not harder. And then you got be consistently consistent. And that goes back with this tool as well, the endless possibilities, the daily dime, that can really help you in that area. And then the last one, of course, is just don't quit, the resilience aspect. What can we do and what can we create in our lives to help with that resilience that is needed to get through those doldrums, to get through those valleys, to get through those dark moments. And so even though I'm, experiencing some low and slow pace in my life right now, I've got the building blocks established. I've got what's needed. I do the daily dime myself, and I'm consistently consistent with that. And I'm surprised at how simple it is to, just to do this daily dime, which can be found in most of those 5 building blocks. And so again, journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. And so, maybe you want us to begin with that middle building block, which is work smarter, not harder. But I would invite and suggest that you work on building those holy habits and righteous routines that will help you with all other aspects of your life. And so I don't know if I confused you more or helped you understand that this arch is going to hold up that bridge, and that bridge are those goals or those steps that's going to help you get across that divide.
Well, Jeff, a couple takeaways I took away. You say smarter and harder. You're talking about efficiency. We don't have to be intimidated about being smarter. We just need to be more efficient. And it seems like all those building blocks help us down that path. And the other takeaway
absolutely.
is your struggle with the 3 R's, and you're exactly correct. It must have been a theory developed by a PE coach in grammar school, because arithmetic, it begins with an R as well.
I know, right? It depends on whatever part of the country you're in, right? You're like reading, writing, arithmetic.
And maybe we share a commonality, Jeff. When I heard something that I couldn't quite understand, or might have been a bit moronic in school, I resisted. I sincerely resisted. And any of my math teachers that are out there, as soon as they told me about matrices, because that was going to be the base of everything, I said, this is busy work, and it'll be the base of nothing. And then they finally, when the computer programming came around, they wanted to say that matrices were part of the computer programming, but it still wasn't any logic that they were teaching me. So I resisted, and we shouldn't resist. I think people need to embrace this program, because they're going to be in a lot better. They'll be in a better place. And
Absolutely.
Well,
and if I may interject here, that programming or that process allows you to kind of open up and to jam a little bit, to freestyle, to where it's not so rigid, because that second building block, the fundamentals, reading, writing, arithmetic, what you're doing there is you're spending some time to read some of the best books, and you're spending some time to not just read them, but you're pondering, you're meditating, you're praying at that time, and then you're going to record, and there's going to be divine downloads, and there going to be things that you're going to be able to process and to put into place and to adapt and create your own recipes. And so that second building block is just, it seems like it's rigid and it's like a program, but that program is more of a, what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, it's more of a blueprint, a skeleton to hang all the fleshy stuff on.
Well, yeah, I think it's about putting more tools in our database. That's where all that comes from: reading, writing, aspiring. That's filling our database with some new tools, and we'll only be in better shape once we do that. Now, Jeff, you've talked about reading, and other than your books, there must be some other books you would dare recommend to us that might be tools as well.
Yeah, in fact, I was hoping that you would share with me one of your favorite ones, but one of my all-time favorites, and I think that everyone should read it. I stumbled across it when I was 20 years old, and I'm like, wow, where was this? And it was Dale Carnegie's "How to Win Friends and Influence People."
Wow.
And some of the things that were in those pages, I'm just like, holy cow, blew my mind. And I'm like, this is absolutely true. Everyone needs to have this. And so, my kids, I encourage my kids to read it. I'll give them $20 to read that book. And another simple one is The Richest Man in Babylon. It's a simple story, and it's in story form that teaches you the value of money, the how to grow your money, and so I bought a box full of those books that I give to people at their wedding as a wedding gift to my wife. Like, that's the stupidest gift ever. I'm like, well, most divorces, most marriages end up in divorce because of money. And I'm like, why not give them this tool that can help them? And so those are two of my top favorite. And another one is called Solve for Happy by Mo Gadot. And I was reading that book, and I just found myself sobbing, not just crying, but sobbing in
Wow.
the opening chapter. And he shares the formula on happiness. And it's very, very similar to a lot of the things that I share in my program and process.
Well, that's great, Jeff. And, we appreciate that. So, your suggestion for us to really embrace this tool, it would not be a bad investment to pick up the book, right?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, as you mentioned, you're like, what's your favorite books? I'm like, besides these two right here, I'm like, these two right here, you've got to start with this one. I'm Possible, Desire, Dream, Do. That's the foundation. It shares the 3Ds. This one is, like the tools. It is like, it's more of a workbook than a book, but that has some good reading at the very, very beginning. But it's really the tool that helps you establish those holy habits and righteous routines. It helps you, reprogram yourself. It helps you get rid of that stinking thinking. It helps you overcome the opposition to your optimism. And so, it helps you overcome the pushbacks to your programming or your reprogramming that you're going to have to do in order to go somewhere where you've never been before. And that's what we're trying to do, is just expand your vision, expand your thinking, expand your environment.
Well, that's one thing I tell my friends and business associations. You need to divest yourself of that negativity that others are trying to throw at you. Well, Jeff, leave us with a final thought, and we'll put this one in the books, so to speak.
Okay, absolutely. So one of the keystone habits for the four areas of your life, the physical, mental, spiritual, and social. The keystone habit for mental is to read and record daily. So, the working smarter, not harder. All these 5 building blocks are kind of like intertwined, and it's not just one block that stands alone. They really support each other. But the one I wanted to focus on to leave you with is to SWAT somebody. I want you to SWAT somebody, not like going whoosh, hit them, or not like special weapons and tactics type of swatting, but I do want you to leave no trace behind. I want you to serve without a trace, because the spiritual, keystone habit for spiritual is to serve without a trace. And, there's a couple suggestions and ideas that I'd like to, pass along with you if you'd like. For example, it doesn't have to be huge and complex. It can be simple as opening up a door for someone, making dinner for your spouse or a family member, or even the neighbor. I know we're asking you to do things that we haven't done for years. Or make your sister or brother, family member's bed. Make your own bed. Let somebody merge into your lane. Pay for the person who's behind you at the drive-in. Do some yard work for your neighbor. Visit the elderly. Write a letter of forgiveness to an enemy. Donate your time at a homeless shelter. Provide community service. Give your clothes to someone in need. Buy flowers for yourself or another person. We don't think about ourselves, but buy flowers for yourself if you want to. And the last suggestion is to smile. It's a free gift that pays dividends. And SMILE is the acronym. Spiritually minded is life eternal, and a smile is a crooked line, Justin, that sets things straight. And so, smile to somebody today. Smile to a stranger. Smile at yourself when you look at yourself in the mirror. Smile, and you'll be amazed at how things begin to change around you. People interact with you differently, and then things become a little bit simpler and a little bit more beautiful and a little bit more colorful, and then you get to experience that consistent positive interaction that you get with people, and that's why I love hanging out with you, Justin, is because I'm always edified, and there's always a smile that comes to my face.
Well, Jeff, that feeling is mutual. Hey, everybody, this has been Justin Case and Jeff Griffin bringing you American Awesome. Thanks for joining us. Remember, additional information and links are provided in this video's Read More. Today is the day to subscribe to this channel. Please learn more about Jeff Griffin and keep company with us at the Cool Kids Table.